All right, this is our second video about this great crossbow right here, the Hybrid X, the latest from Excalibur. I really do like this crossbow. Normally on these things, I kind of wait to the end to reveal my thoughts on them, but I'm really liking what I got here. And I think this is a huge crossbow for Excalibur, a huge step for Excalibur. It is a great step in the right direction for that company, in my opinion, and I'm very happy to see it out here. That is the end of the video. No, I'm just kidding. There's lots more in this video. We're going to do a three-part series at least on this crossbow because, in my opinion, it is the biggest news in crossbows this year. I do have a few questions about it that you'll see in this video, but I also have some answers. Let's go back to the 60-yard backyard, pick up where we left off with friend of Bunjie, Jim, One-Eyed Archer, and we will start by learning how to load an arrow properly in this great crossbow.
I think the key is to get farther out on the arrow so you can get it in there.
And then sort of watch.
Yeah, when I was first, I was like halfway up the arrow trying it, and I couldn't line nothing up.
Yeah.
Got her now.
I think it's looking pretty good.
Non-issue.
Non-issue, 100%.
All right. Well,
I'm going to try a 10-yarder.
not bad.
Is that where you're aiming, right in the middle?
Yep. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
Pretty sighting it in.
Yeah. All we do is slap the scope back on here. Can't beat those targets, huh?
No.
Pretty sweet.
Might have to get one.
This is what your limb's supposed to look like. Just looking the limbs over, because you got to do that with any crossbow, but you know, I'm a little nervous around the Excaliburs these days. You know, the history of that in Death by Bunjie, that's been a thing. When I run my finger over it, I can feel little burrs here and there, but I think that's finish. I don't think that's like an issue. But Jim noticed something. Flip this guy over. Let's look on the inside of that limb. We'll go right over here. And if I zoom in right there, if you look, there's a little void in the limb right there. And the finish ends, it's kind of funny the way the finish is. It doesn't actually go to the end of the limb tip, which is not a big deal. That's just a process of it. But there's a void there, a little hole in the limb. Whereas if we go over on this side, if I can get there, we have the same finish, but no void. So I don't think that's by design. I think that's a thing. Then we were looking the limbs over a little more and noticed here, where's our, yeah, this guy has the stress marks in the finish pretty solid. You can see that across there. Those are pretty visible, and you can feel them. Yeah,
especially right there.
So you can sit in a tree stand and pick at them real good, like if you're a picker like I am. This could be cosmetic, right? You noticed something in the base.
Yeah.
Is this more than what you noticed?
This is, yeah, you can stick your fingernail up under that.
Well, don't pick at it. You're worse than Jim.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. A little worrying though, right?
So there it is, our first area of concern with this new offering from Excalibur, the limbs. Gave me a little bit of hesitation at first. I was a little nervous because we don't want to go back to the days of having issues with limbs like we did several years ago. Did a whole series on breaking limbs. Not just Excalibur, but other manufacturers as well. Since that time, we've really made a lot of progress in that arena. If you look at the limb breakages, I think it's pretty much a non-issue. I think we're left with crossbows that break limbs because of user error in a large percentage of the cases. And generally speaking, you don't hear too much going on about breaking limbs. So I reached out to David at Wyvern Creations, and I reached out to Excalibur as well, had phone conferences with both of them about this and some other subjects that we'll talk about in this video. I learned quite a bit about how the limbs are made. Both of them assured me that these striations, these little cracks in the limbs, are finish only and not an issue as far as performance is concerned, certainly not a safety issue. And I'll take them at their word on that. I haven't seen any problems with it other than those marks. The reason for that is Excalibur, when they make these limbs, they're basically laying out strands of fiberglass, right, that are in long strands. And Excalibur's very proud of the fact, and they should be, that they make all of their limbs in-house. They're the only major crossbow manufacturer that manufactures all of their own limbs. Excalibur told me they're using a process to make their limbs, the same process they have been using for nearly 25 years. It is compression molded, rosin bath, all kinds of big words like that. The short story is that they basically are doing the same thing with these limbs to make them that they would do with their other limbs. They make them in-house, and they are confident that these are not a problem. They're cosmetic only. Unlike a lot of other manufacturers, they don't put another coat of epoxy on top of that. The epoxy is in between the fibers as they come out through here, and they don't put another top coat on there to make it look all pretty and smooth. Sometimes that means that the finish, after these limbs are dipped, will sort of feed in between those cracks and leave these little imperfections. It's just the nature of an Excalibur crossbow and their limb building process. I will continue to monitor it. I am not paid by Excalibur. I'm not paid by Wyvern Creations. I just like this crossbow. And if you are familiar with Death by Bunjie, you know that I tell you what I like, and I'm very quick to tell you what I don't like. And sometimes that upsets people, and that's just the way it is. But I will certainly tell you if I have issues with this crossbow, just like I'm doing in this video, and I'll continue to keep you posted. Back to the 60-yard backyard. It should be about 18 yards. We're clear back. And there the windage is pretty good and the elevation is a little bit low. Yeah. So I mean, you play around with that.
Me. I'm shooting freehanded.
Oh, you're shooting freehanded? I'd take that any day of the week.
It does hold pretty nice though.
Yeah.
I mean, I was moving a little bit, but
well, without the lighted knock, that's going to be an issue too. But you can't really see it as well. Take a poke at 30. We'll see if we can line up 30 yards. It's weird. I got to use a rangefinder back here. What's with that?
Why is that?
Why is that?
What is that thing?
They should make a scope that has a rangefinder built in it. So when you push a button, it just gives you a dot.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
That would be really neat on
I
there.
bet they'd sell a bunch. Especially if they had a lifetime warranty. No question to ask.
I know. They probably sell a bunch just to me.
Always got a brush, so the knock goes in easier than trying to get under the arrow retainer.
Yep. But once you get under that
retainer better than a brush.
Yeah, I can see that too. Yep.
All right.
What do you think about the safety location? Because it's got to be on safe to cock it. So it's on safe automatically once it's cocked.
Just get it there with my thumb.
Oh, so you can do it either side, because I see you reaching over the other side.
Ambidextrous.
It's ambidextrous, can't beat that.
Yeah, you can reach it barely with your thumb.
Yep.
It's doable.
Yep. And it's not clicking, not an automatic click.
No, quiet.
I kind of like that.
Very.
You move it slow.
Makes more noise, yeah. If you move it slow, nothing.
Yep, same as the other ones I've used, yep.
But even then, like going forward, like I'm just pushing it.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're going to freehand a 30-yarder here, see what we got.
I'm going to aim at the bigger one. On the right here.
Boom.
Oh, no.
It's low?
Yep.
Yep, low.
Almost missed the target.
Oh, it's pretty low, yeah. But I think that is a, you know, you sight these things in.
Right.
This was sighted in up there.
You haven't touched it.
Yep.
Shoot off
yep.
it.
All right, we're going to shoot off a rest. We got the Bog Death Grip. Jim brought that along with him. And now, Jim, I'm going to give you an arrow to put in there because we don't dry fire in the 60-yard backyard.
Nope.
Nope, not here. Not with this crossbow.
Not any crossbow.
No, that never happens. This one has anti-dry fire. Oh, snaps right in there. You can hear it working. Jim's going to try and clear the hay field. We can just...
Try to get a little better. See if it was me or the bell there on that.
Yep, we're going to see if the shooting steady, see what that does for it.
Same spot.
Same spot? It does bury them. You got to get a little twist in it. Did you, oh, Genevieve, you, oh.
I'm breaking it.
It's supposed to do that.
Like that?
Yep, and that slides right over. So that switch is just a let loose switch, or that's what we call it. And it disengages the trigger box so you can slide it all the way down. Now you're going to keep sliding until it clicks on that string.
Push that forward.
There you go.
And then you got to put it on safe.
That's still up here now because the safety's attached to that trigger box. So you're going to put that on safe. Get all the way back.
Yep, green showing.
Yep.
And that way you can cock it, take it right out there in the yard in our uncut grass. Boy, that's a shame.
Got crank handle. It's got a little release up there.
Push. Right here, that little lever in. Yep.
Oh.
And now it slides right out. That
There
holds
we
it
go.
in place. Isn't that nice?
It's kind of like mine.
It's kind of the same handle, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not going to break that stirrup. Don't worry about that. But I don't know how useful a stirrup is for...
Yeah.
You don't need to step on it.
Mine
It's just
are about the size limit for the feet on that, I think.
You just need it. It's just for stability. Because this isn't... You're not pulling against it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
clockwise.
Do I have a lever?
No,
You're
you
just
crank it
cranking
back.
back until you hear it click.
Draw it in. And we'll get it back there, and once it clicks... All right.
Back, crank it 3 times.
Now just go backwards 3 times.
What that does
2,
is freeze up the trigger
3.
box so it can slide
Yep.
forward.
Then you take your handle right out.
Is it gonna?
Nope,
click
let go.
or
You're done. Take that handle right out.
Yep.
It's done.
You
It
sure?
clicked. Yeah. And it's on safe.
Okay.
It's already on safe. What do you think of that?
Okay.
And we slide that right back in place. Put that in there and kaboom.
Yeah, turn it.
Yeah, you're hitting up here. Is what
Oh,
you're-
okay.
There you
Yep,
go.
there we go.
Trying to
Perfect.
point and use
I
the
got it.
camera. So that goes right in there. And
It's
then
got directions right on the back there for you. I'll use a rest for it.
you want to use a rest.
I'm kidding.
No. Now, let's talk about the feel. You're holding it. What do you think? Is it too heavy for you?
It's long, but it feels real similar to my micro though.
Does it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Front heavy, but I can still. I'm pretty steady with it, so not bad.
Do you think you could hold it if it had a Burris Oracle X on it?
Maybe not.
So, you got to be picky about the veins. We're going to put the white vein down. You know how I know?
Because it tells you to.
It says this vein down. So we're going to want to do that. So drop that in there. Yep, very good. Now, you got to be looking down at your arrow retention finger. And that goes right up under there. Oh, you got it. Look at that first try. Push it back until it snaps. Yep, you got to push it back until it snaps.
There you go.
It snapped.
Okay.
It's now locked and loaded.
I don't
Better
hear any
load it
crinkling.
The first time that we did. Or I did.
Well, it's because she's had the benefit of expert instruction.
Plus, she has 2 eyes. That
She-
helps.
For now.
Oh, don't say that. Good Lord.
Jesus.
Yeah, we don't. I'm going to stand back.
Everybody get behind me. I'm the shield.
No, I think you're good. Now, the safety, you know where you're working your safety and stuff? All right. Put that forward.
I'm gonna
Ease
shoot
that forward.
the yellow target.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. Whatever you want to do. I just use your 20-yard pin. You're going to be pretty close.
Whew. That kicks a little bit.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not a bad shot, though.
That's nice though. It's very smooth. The trigger is not smooth though.
The trigger is not smooth. Now,
It's not
describe that to me.
You can, I noticed that you pull back a little bit before you hit the tension on it. Like
Okay.
it's loose up in here
Yep,
until
yep.
you get to here,
Okay.
and then there's tension on it, and then back here you fire.
Okay. Okay. One thing people have commented on is that the camo pattern of the limbs does not match the camo pattern of the stock. That doesn't really bother me. It's purely cosmetic, purely a human problem. Really, if anything, we're looking at breakup when we talk about camouflage. That's the important thing about camouflage. Having 2 different color patterns actually works to the benefit of the hunter. That's for sure. It just does look a little bit odd. Now, I did talk to Dave at Wyvern Creations about that, and one of the things he explained to me is there's a different process for putting the camouflage on a stock versus putting the camouflage on the limbs. The limbs are done with a dip, and that's one of the reasons you see a little bit of, like sometimes you see a little bit of a gap in the dip. If you ever watched them hydro dip something, it's basically a big tank of liquid, and they put this the film on top and then dip the product in it, and that's how that's done. So it kind of depends on how that's floating in that tub of liquid and how they put the limb in. That's what determines the way that camo lays. So you do get a little gap here and there on some of the limbs. In the stock, they're done in 2 different places, 2 different times. That's one of the reasons that the company just ends up with 2 different camo patterns. It's not the end of the world. It's just the way it was made. That's certainly not a deal breaker on this crossbow or any other one. And other people have commented they like to see this thing in black. I also would like to see it in black. I think it's a neat crossbow. It would look really good in black, and black is pretty cool, right? That's my new favorite thing with crossbows. So, but I do like the camo. I'm a mossy oak guy when it comes to camo anyway. I always like mossy oak stuff, so got no problem with that whatsoever. One of the things I'm not so happy about is that so far we don't have Luminox. Of course, we just have these Rhino style nocks that are built specifically for the Hybrid X. Now, I don't necessarily dislike these nocks. I kind of do like them. They're a very complex nock, to be honest with you. But the downside is they are not lighted, however, and it's hard to see exactly what we got going on down here. Now, I can see that now, zooming in with the camera. We can see the veins. We can see what we're doing, and I've just started truing in this and sighting in the Burris Oracle X. I just put that on here, so don't be concerned about the accuracy at this point. That actually is what I'm testing here to see whether I can get this Burris to work on here, whether it plays nice with it. That's a big factor in what I think about this crossbow, for me personally at least. But I would like to have lighted nocks, and that's going to be the downside. The arrow does stick out pretty good on there. Like, that's a thing, right? It does stick out quite a ways. And the stirrup, now I've modified that stirrup again, took it off, put it back on. I haven't modified it, but I took it off, put it back on here so that it sits. It's real nice because it sits here and here on a table, so you can work on it a little bit better. Put the scope on when you're working on your Burris Oracle X or anything like that. But nothing protects that broadhead out in the front. That is an issue. Maybe an aftermarket stirrup. To be honest with you, the stirrup put up this way doesn't really protect it all that much anyway. So it's hit and miss. Not sure what I think about that. I will say the cocking on this is superb. I love it, and I can tell you that you even know when you're getting it fully cocked because you get up there close, and when those limbs are coming in there to get ready to touch the cams, all of a sudden it clicks and you are done cocking it. It is so sweet. I love the cocking system on this 100%. So tell me, when this bow is cocked, tell me that cam is not touching those servings. Because sure looks like it is. In fact, that looks like it's got some wear right there. Look at that. Believe it or not, this also is not as big a concern as I initially thought it was. I looked at that and I'm like, oh great, here we are with the SWAT X1 again, where the wrong string, the wrong thickness of the serving is rubbing on the cams because that crossbow is so compact, and all of a sudden we're going to have problems with that. The same kind of problems where it's just going to eat through the strings and cables like crazy. That's not what's going on here. Actually, if you remember when we did the speed test in the last video on this crossbow and how smoking fast it was? 445. Yeah, so that was a whole different ball game. That is because somebody tinkered with it. Sound familiar? Someone who had this crossbow before me played with the timing. They jacked it up a little bit. The speeds that we got in the backyard reflect that. This is a crossbow that's supposed to shoot 435 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow. I was shooting 10 feet per second faster than that in the 60-yard backyard. Those speeds are not typical, and really you probably shouldn't be getting those speeds with this crossbow. The cables have been shortened a little bit and it was drawing in too tight. By drawing it in too tight, all of a sudden you don't have enough clearance between the cam and the loop of the cable. I will do a string changing video down the road. I will loosen up these cables, take a twist out of each one, back it off a little bit, and I am 100% confident, based on my experience pressing crossbows and playing with timing and cables and all that good stuff, that it will fix the issue. I am also told by Excalibur that it will fix the problem, and they were kind enough to send me strings and cables and another set of limbs just to make sure that I'm in good shape with this crossbow. That shows you two things that I like about Excalibur. One is that when you have an issue, they're responsive, and that's a reputation that Excalibur has had for decades, and that's one that I think that even with this great change in their business model, so to speak, their crossbow models, that will continue. The other thing is that those speeds of 435 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow, that's what Excalibur advertises. I really do believe that this crossbow will do that out of the box. If you were to buy one of these things, Excalibur's pretty honest about their speeds. Now, in the past, I've been critical of that because they get those speeds with a 350 grain arrow. I don't like 350 grain arrows. I don't think you should be using them out of modern Excaliburs. However, a 400 grain arrow is more in the mix with what modern companies use, and I'm so happy to see Excalibur using that weight to get their speeds. I am confident that properly tuned, this crossbow will shoot 435 feet per second with a 400 grain arrow. I'm not going to get the 427 with a 450 that we got in a 60-yard backyard, but I bet I get close to 420. I bet I get 415 to 420. And that's pretty cool with a 450 grain arrow. That allows me to use my 150 grain Swhackers on this thing. It'll be blazing fast, lots of energy. Go to our calculators on deathbybungie.com. We got all kinds of energy. Energy out the wazoo, don't we? Huh? How about that? That's a new term. I don't think I'm going to reuse that one. But plenty of energy. It's a modern crossbow. That's what you expect. That's what you expect. That's what we deserve as modern crossbow hunters, now isn't it? Coming soon to Death by Bungie. We'll do a video on this bad boy. It's a good day for reverse limb crossbows in the 60-yard backyard.
Man, this is something. Huh.
Pretty compact, huh? Man, Belle, you're a dead eye.
Pretty good.
That's my daughter right there.
That's cool.
That's my kid.
Like, it doesn't move at all when you pull the trigger. Like, nothing moves. It's cool.
Yep.
Man.
And the vibration stops almost immediately on
Yeah.
those. Yeah. Very much still a SWAT, but it does have a, I think it's even
SWAT
tighter.
feel. Yep.
Yeah. But I think it's got a tighter.
Oh, look at that grip. I didn't see that.
Future forge grip.
That's cool.
So Jim's got an interesting observation. He says something about the Excaliburs, and he commented that this thing hits like a 505. You've shot the 505, right? The smack on that target. Holy cow. You can just imagine what that would be doing to a deer or other big game.
It's like a freight train.
Yeah, yep.
That's how this is.
Just feel it. You can feel it and hear it. Now,
When I had my Assassin 400,
yep.
that thing also, like when it hit the target, it was like pow, just punch.
Yep.
It seemed to have a lot more punch than a normal 400, 370 feet per second bow. So I don't know. Excalibur's on to something.
Give me your overall thoughts, Jim. What are you thinking?
I like it. It's not too heavy. No heavier than anything else on the market. Well, there are lighter, but it doesn't feel any. The high-end stuff, it's no heavier. Balance is great. It's not as loud as you thought it would be. Accuracy, we haven't really tested that out yet, but the trigger feels good.
Yep.
Cocking system is easy, just like a 10-point. No. So far, I think they've definitely got a winner here.
I will be playing with strings and cables down the road, playing with cams, because that's what I do. I just can't sit still and not tinker with the thing. And we'll talk about accuracy also. Why? Because just like I wrote in my book, the Death by Bungie crossbow method, accuracy is number one with crossbows. And it's no different with the Hybrid X. You can see it's already got a Burris Oracle X on it. I am going to keep this crossbow. I really do like it. So it is going to be part of the Death by Bungie family or arsenal of crossbows, or the Bungie battalion, or what name I choose down the road. We're starting to accumulate a lot of crossbows here in the kingdom of Bungie. And we got one more coming. The Raven R470 is in the house. And we'll be doing a video on that shortly. Until next time, all hail Bungie.